thank you all for being here. Thank you. First off the bat, does anyone have any changes to the minutes?
It's the wrong date up there. It should be the 6th because we didn't meet that Sunday. So if someone wants to make a motion to change that.
Motion to amend the date from the minutes to just 10%.
6th.
Is there a second? Or I guess, sorry. All right, does anyone have a secondary amendment to make to that? Or are we cool with changing the date to the 6th? Okay, cool. So it will show up in the final version as 6 March 2019. Any other changes to the minutes? All right, if there aren't any, then the minutes are approved as amended. All right, is there anyone here for public forum? No guests?
Oh, you have guests, but not
Well, yes, that's true. All right. Then before we get into reports, I think we're going to move to, or if someone wants to move to adopt or approve the SITTV Constitution just because they are guests and we'd like to honor their time. Jay?
A motion to approve the Constitution and bylaws of SITTV as presented.
All right. It has been moved and seconded to approve the Constitution of SITTV. Would y'all like to speak?
Sure. So a decent amount of our club is here. A lot of us are back here, so I'm just going to scatter us over Andrew and Paul and senators. So this Constitution has been under works for quite some time. I started making kind of like rough drafts and edits to our current one almost a year ago, actually, when we ran through some bylaw amendments. But basically, our entire e-board has been on board with writing this. It is not just an amendment; it's a completely new constitution and new bylaws that we wrote and adopted. We went through the Rules Committee, passed earlier this week. It's kind of pretty long and very thorough. So if anyone has any questions, we're all here to answer them. I highly encourage you all to read through it in case you haven't already. And if there is anything, let us know. Mark.
I see you have the membership section for like alumni membership. What's the rationale for including that? Because I'm not sure if you guys have like jurisdiction, so to speak, over
So the reason for having a dedicated classification of alumni membership is specifically so we can have very formal records for that. Because under the duties of the president, it says the president is charged with maintaining records of membership, and that way, so if we want to contact our alumni or have an alumni event, there's an easy way to do that. We were actually looking into doing an alumni event this semester, but unfortunately we don't really have a lot of records of people after they left Stevens. So that kind of has been a roadblock and something that we would definitely like to start doing in the future.
So according to SGA bylaws, a RSO constitution has to have voting membership requirements, but it seems like your
Yes,
guys'
it does.
constitution pushes it to the bylaws. So you find a voting membership in your bylaws, not really in your constitution. Is there any reason for that, and any reason why voting membership can't be defined in the constitution itself?
I mean, our paradigm in terms of writing this was that the Constitution was mainly for declaring things, and the bylaws was for defining them, which is generally consistent with how our old Constitution was and the one before that, and a couple other RSO constitutions that I looked at in drafting this. And I don't believe that that's necessarily inconsistent with what the SGA bylaws say. I mean, that was not raised in the Rules Committee meeting when we were discussing this. So, I mean, considering the bylaws are a legal addendum to our Constitution, which is under the jurisdiction of the SGA bylaws anyway, I don't necessarily think that that's actually in violation of the rules.
Jake, have you taken a look at that line to see?
Not at that specific one. I'm trying to find it.
Okay.
Which section was the constitutional bylaws? Which section was that?
It's under section 7.2 for the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. Under section
That's
B.
the old version of the bylaws. The Constitution and Bylaws Committee doesn't exist anymore. It's now rules, and a lot of that language was changed. So,
Can you put the version? Sorry. Can you put the version you have in the general Slack, because that's not public access?
I can grab it, it's in Duck.
Which,
If you search bylaws in DuckLink, it's hidden in some subfolder, but it does show up when you search for the word bylaws. Me and my subcommittee had talked to Maddie over the course of making this, and as she can tell you all, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been updated on bylaws because there's just so much stuff to go through. The most up-to-date version of the bylaws that exists on DuckLink is not in the governing documents folder, but the one that is in the governing documents folder is so old that a lot of the stuff in there is not valid and not correct anymore. So if you do search for bylaws in the SGA DuckLink, you will find a slightly newer version, which is still not fully up to date, but that's the most up-to-date version that we had when we were drafting this and when we were talking about this with folks.
Any other questions for SITTV?
You have a section on copyright. Is within bylaws. Is SITTV copyright owned by Stevens, or is it its own separate entity?
So it's, as much as you can tell, I've actually spoken heavily with our faculty advisor, who is also the Dean of Students, Kenneth Wilson, on this. And basically what we came up with is the actual Stevens copyright and patent policy, which are two rather similar documents that have their own scope, declare things to be under Stevens copyright that are by students only if they're done in very certain ways, in very certain places, or the specific types of equipment. And while it's rather vague, the interpretation that me, the rest of our e-board, and the dean all kind of came to is that the most obvious conclusion of that is that it is owned by SITTV, because the rules that the school makes out for what they actually own don't really apply to how we operate and how like RSOs in general operate. This was passed off by the Dean of Students to Stevens' General Counsel early last week, and we didn't hear any issues about that, so I don't really think this is a problem.
Any other questions? Any discussion? Jake?
I have found the place in the bylaws. Under the copy that you have, which April 29th, 2018,
That
right?
sounds about right, and it said June was when it was,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what we're looking at.
So, at a minimum includes the name of the organization, a stated purpose, voting membership requirements, and a list of executive board positions and associated responsibilities, a stated election period for officers, a definition of quorum, and a chaos clause. I'll get back there. I don't know where I put it. Where'd you go?
You can post it in general.
Yeah, I can. I have to figure out where I put their constitution on the document. So, the requirements were not in the Constitution. The categories of membership were, and
You need a minute to like figure that out.
yeah, give me.
I'm not sure if this is like unilaterally relevant, but if I remember correctly, there was a lot of discussion last semester about the role of RSO's constitutions versus their bylaws. And at the end of that discussion, the SGA bylaws were amended to say that RSOs can no longer amend their bylaws on their own. They have to go through the SGA to do that. So it seems to me like the justification behind requiring that the definition of the categories of membership to be not in the bylaws is so RSOs couldn't change them on their own. But that's not something that they're capable of doing anyway.
That is well put. Jake?
So, I was just looking to confirm something that I vaguely remembered us talking about when this came up as an issue. Because they cannot suspend their bylaws, because they cannot amend their bylaws without going through the same procedure by which they would have to amend their constitution, it more or less renders these two documents effectually the same. They are the governing documents of SITTV. One cannot be suppressed, and no point in SITTV can the bylaws be suppressed. So there seems to be no effectual difference between the two. At least it didn't to me at the time,
The only
but that is
difference-
up to the Senate to decide.
The only difference would be that 2/3 of the SITTV are required to amend the Constitution, whereas I'm assuming it's a majority for bylaws.
Plus, the board has to agree to bylaw changes.
Okay. Any other questions for SITTV or discussion on this constitution? If there is none, are we ready for a vote? All right, the question is on the approval of SITTV's constitution. All in favor of approving the constitution of SITTV, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. All right, the ayes have it, the motion passes, and the constitution of SITTV is adopted. Great. All right, on to, yes. On to reports. All right. I have only two things to talk about. One is the status update, which I sent out a link. We haven't got too many responses. We have gotten some responses, which are great. I think around 10 of you, maybe fewer. Technically, you've missed the deadline because you're supposed to do that in the last 7 days of the month. But we would rather late than never. Like, we still want to know what y'all are doing because that's what really matters. Like, we want to know how you're involved, and we need to tally it basically because it's one of your requirements. Second, also like the link is there, and it's in Slack. I pinned the message. Second are absences. Some of you have accrued your max number of absences in a semester, which is 2. We really don't like impeaching people. We think it's like horrible for the culture here. But that might be the only way we have to like enforce rules. Note that impeaching does not mean being removed from the Senate. You are basically just like entered into a punishment matrix, and they can be like mild punishments depending on what the oversight committee wants. But like we have to do something about it because y'all need to show up, or at the very least, send in your excusals 24 hours in advance. And for more information on that, see section 2.1b of our bylaws. That's that. Right, rules.
Hey guys, we voted tonight on SITTV. That's all well and done. We are currently reviewing C2GS's constitution submission for just glancing over some of the changes they made. It's relatively minor, it doesn't take us that long. And I got confused between thinking I had already looked at SACES, like thinking we had already looked at SACES. It was actually Habitat for Humanities, so we got to look at that, and that's got to be like taken care of really quickly because they've been waiting for a long time. I'm very sorry, SACES. Also, IT has not emailed me yet about the scheduler, which is unrelated.
Thank you. CSI?
I wasn't here last meeting, so I wanted to announce a new culture subcommittee head who was elected on February 27th. Danielle McCullis, she's not here right now. Also, the transitioning professional society subcommittee head is here. Christina, hello. Say hello. Hello. Okay. And the March CSI meeting is this week. We'll be talking about potential organizations to audit and, but no step 2 organizations will be presented.
Great, thank you. PR?
I'm going to refer to Lena yet, but we had a meeting on Monday. We basically decided we were going to take comments and cabinet, which is similar to the Senate that we had earlier. And so it's just a way for people to get to know their SGA and the cabinet. Pretty self-explanatory. And then we also at our meeting decided and got the information about the website. That's on the right now.
Great, thank you. Campus life.
No real update from last Wednesday, but I did forget to mention, at our last committee meeting, we decided we're going to attend Recycling and Sculpture Making in the atrium this Wednesday as opposed to having our bi-weekly meeting. So we're going to that, and our next meeting is going to be after spring break. You guys should come though, it's going to be fun.
Great, thank you. Car.
Hey, so same initiatives as last week. We're working on a couple of things, so we're taking a little while. But if you're interested in joining with us this week, we'll be in Fabio 204 from 2 to 3 p.m. We got a room this time because we had a lot of people at our last meeting. Also, fun fact, in the city of Hoboken, if you use a fire escape improperly, you can get a $10 fine. So these rec rooms are going to get a $10 fine.
Thank you. Academic and curriculum advancement.
Yeah, so people suck at emailing back, so sadly not too much progress on the stuff we're working on. We are going to be meeting again Wednesday at 4 p.m. at this meeting, just because we do have the website operational now. The thing of that meeting is really going to be focused on just discussing the logistics of the 10
Senate Budget Committee.
Yeah, so we had a meeting today. I'm Elena as well. It's fun. We started out with like $62,000. People asked for like $4,000. Now we have like $58,000. You'll see exactly what we approved and what we didn't later. We had a fun time today. Good.
Great, thank you. Health and Wellness. Anyone here?
So, that's like real old. We already met with Dean Nelson. We have hand sanitizer ideas. So that's really exciting. I met with, Dr. Rose, head of TAP. So we talked a little bit. I got some really good ideas. One of them is we're thinking about they're getting new modules for the freshmen, and so there's a wellness module. So we're gonna try to like get that implemented in every school. So yeah, that's
Great.
it.
Thank you. Government and Community Relations.
We have so much fun stuff happening. In case you missed it, last Wednesday we had a meeting with Beth McGrath and Hoboken Strategy Group, which is essentially Stevens' division of Government and Community Relations. We're hoping to lobby a bill, S2965. They think it's fantastic. So that's Monday, March 25th. We're going down to Trenton. I'm gonna go persuade some assembly people and senators to vote for this bill. Coming up, hopefully a legislative forum with Vanessa Falco and Emily Jabor. Does anyone know, our current date is March 28th. We checked Ducklink, and it's like a pretty tame day. And if anyone knows there's like something like crazy going on that's very conflicting, please let us know. Cindy Chen got back to us about no school on election day. Wants a more like thorough proposal because we sent in this proclamation. I think Carr led this, right? About like a proclamation about no school election.
I'll talk about it too.
Okay, yeah, and so Cindy Chen got back to us, and so we're gonna draft a proposal. So that's coming up. Hoboken City Council member James Doyle and Jennifer Gonzalez, Hoboken's Director of Environmental Services. Hopefully we're arranging a meeting with them. We'll see. And then voter registration drive. That's coming up starting very, very soon. Government's lit. It's awesome. Also, happy International Women's Month. Those are on the right, the women of Hoboken City Council. It's awesome. And then our leader, Beth McGrath.
Thank you. Diversity and Inclusion. Anyone speaking on their behalf?
This is from last week.
This is, okay, then no update. SFA.
Same as Wednesday.
Okay. Then Auditing Committee.
So we had another meeting this past Thursday. We came up with a list of orgs that we would present to the CSI this coming Wednesday on like what some orgs that could potentially be audited. Yeah, those are just some really old pictures of Favarian that I found on Google Images. Here you can see young Favarian staring longingly to the distance, hoping that he'll never have to head up Stevens. But anyway, yeah, that's all.
Thank you. This is good investigative work here. All right. EC.
Okay, hi everybody. Tech Fest is coming up, so get excited. There's a spot for openers who apply, I guess soon, so stay tuned. The headliner and the openers will be announced after spring break. And then Earth Day, that is coming up April 24th, Fabio Atrium and Patio. And Lucas Graham was rescheduled, so that event's gonna be, there'll be like stuff sent out about that. Last week there were a couple events. Cupcake Wars was a lot of fun. If you guys can go next year, I highly recommend it. It's just eating free cupcakes. Wicked is today. I'm supposed to go Wicked. The Knicks game, I guess that went well. And the upcoming events, so check them out.
All right, great, thank you. Housing Committee.
Okay, so there's an updated, there's a couple links there. The things we've made, an updated tracking document. If you're an upperclassman and would like to speak on a panel about your experiences with housing, just fill out the sign-up form and we're arranging that. I had 2 meetings this week, printing low cages, editing some documents. We have a couple more documents to put up on the website, and we're gonna arrange a seminar, and then we're pretty much done.
Great, thank you. Arts and music, no update. Club sports, no update. Electronics and gaming.
So there is currently one nominee for my position for this next meeting.
Thank you. Alrighty, thank you. Culture subcommittee.
Like I said, Daniela McCallis is the new subcommittee head, and Unity Carnival is scheduled for April 5th, and the showcase is on April 12th. They're a week apart this year, just to
Great.
point that out.
Thank you. Media.
Hello everyone, SITTV released a new video, it's there, pick up a copy of this Duke anywhere around campus. Redshift is also looking for submissions for their showcase event on April 4th.
Thank you. Non-RSO subcommittee.
Next subcommittee meeting date is TBD. I also have 2 nominees for my team member placements.
Thank you. Professional societies.
So yeah, I'm at Christina. I'm still going to be here for a little bit, but we're transitioning out. Those are the events that are coming up in the next week. And we should be having a subcommittee meeting after spring break.
Thank you. Recreation.
Touching base on the organization for this week, to update them over the unified elections and making sure they're ready going into spring break. Otherwise, if you're stressed about your exams, Mass is finally having practice this Wednesday at 9 p.m., so you should go take it out on some wooden blocks.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Religious and faith-based.
Alright, so this week's featured event actually won't be coming up until after the break, so we've got our Ask Christians Anything event happening in this very room, 5 p.m. on Thursday. And yeah, I guess those papers are a picture of the handouts. Thanks for listening, hearing them out, budget. Anyway, so Poster Focus World update, same as Wednesday. The Ash Wednesday was a big success despite the complications with the room booking. Thanks to Student Life for reserving the rooms due to the absence of Jacobus, which we usually use. And yeah, other than that, just this week's March subcommittee meeting happening, so I'll get more updates then.
Great. Thank you. Service subcommittee, no update. Special interest, no update. That's kind of scary. Nice.
Alright.
Jason.
Not new news. You can read. That's pretty cool. New news. New senators. Are they here?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself. So we usually do like a fun fact. Say your name, your purpose. No, I'm just kidding. Just give us like a little fun fact. What you're about.
Alright, so my name's Alia, and I'm very happy to have joined the SGA. And a fun fact about myself, I guess I enjoy reading and playing Fortnite, unfortunately.
Alright. Like that. Okay.
Shy, I'm Adrian, and I'm glad to finally be here. And the fun fact about myself is I was the youngest graduating member of my senior class.
Okay.
It's like
Thanks.
December
Fun
15th, so I super saw.
Great.
Good to have you guys here.
All right. We had a little confrontation with midnight moving forward. We don't know what that's going to look like. A couple of fraternities are currently under investigation. I don't know if you guys want to talk about it in discussion. I can fill you in more if you guys want to know. But that was the big problem of the week, I guess. There is a student money initiative that if you guys don't have an initiative for this month, I received a list of where all like a student's money goes, and if we could get that like formalized and made nice and get in like a pamphlet or something so like students could easily like accessibly see that, that'd be very cool. Leo wants to do the pond house. He wants us to donate some money to like renovate it. I don't know if you guys are interested in that. I don't know what would possibly that would go into. I don't know. We're gonna talk to him more about that. As Matthew said about election day, I believe Sydney is thinking about switching it with Columbus Day. I don't know if we want to do that. I don't know if that's something that we're interested in. I believe we have a planned meeting to finalize that, so that should work out. And Leo wants to come to a meeting. So I don't know if you guys want to do something special for that, but he specifically wants to meet all the committee heads, and that should be really cool. So that's my update.
Liam?
Wait, how much money is the actually that he wants us to
Let me check if he gave me a specific amount. No, he didn't. He apparently it was an initiative last semester, and he was just wondering if we were still interested in doing that. So I'm just gonna talk to him about it.
Mark?
Is this for renovations or like a community garden? Do you know?
I think it's for renovations. This is like totally separate from the community garden, I think. Which is like, I don't know what's going on there.
Great. And one more thing, could you explain who Leo is?
Leo is the OSL dean, I think.
Is his official title? What's his official title?
Director.
So he's the
So
director of
he's
the
like
Office of Student Life?
he's like the step below Sarah Klein, and he's like who I meet with on like a regular basis. He gives me like the inside scoop on everything.
Great, thank you. VPO. Ryan?
Oh, right. That's me. Yeah, so welcome new senators. Please reach out to me for your committee assignments. Hit me up on Slack or whatever. Yeah. Melanie resigned this week, so it's unfortunate, but she's graduating anyway, so she's stepping down. We need a new head of health and wellness, so I already have some interest from people, but if you suddenly are really passionate about that and want to be head of health and wellness, let me know. For old news, I mean, I think this was already on the slides last week. Apparently, George Calhoun was like out for an entire week, so he's kind of been MIA. I'm gonna try and reach out to, I guess, get a hold of him through Brandon Griffin. The Young Alumni Trustees were just finalizing that. We're talking about either the 27th or 28th. Still meeting with Sarah Klein for coffee on the 27th. And then that's some of the stuff that I'm looking into with student experience improvements. If there's anything that you guys want to see that's kind of related to some of that, or anything that's unrelated that you think could go under that umbrella, reach out. Other than that, I'm planning on setting up a meeting with Varden at some point to kind of go over some of those broader goals. Supposed to have pancakes with the president, but that got canceled because apparently Varden and his wife are sick. So if that gets rescheduled, I'll let you guys know. Other than that, yeah, just let me know if there's anything that you guys want me to take a look at.
Great, thank you.
I tried to emphasize my title because I felt like not enough people were mad at the Comic Sans. So yes, it is Comic Sans. In other news, the new organization interviews are actually done now. I had the last one on Thursday. But unified nominations start this week, so make sure, if this is relevant to you, that the orgs are putting in the form on DuckLink to make sure that the people who are running are eligible for the positions they're running for. And then the week when we get back from break is unified elections, so the DuckLink pages of the orgs actually have to be updated so I can update my spreadsheets because I need to keep track of things. And there were no buzz phrases of the week in my inbox this week because I didn't get any emails. Okay. Yeah. And I only had 3 meetings. Yep. That's it.
Thank you. VPF, no update? I'm sick.
I'm sick.
That's so true, okay. Sorry, I feel better. VPAA.
That's me.
What's up, everyone? I don't know if everyone probably was definitely not here Wednesday, so I'm gonna go over some of the stuff we talked about then and then some new stuff. As you all know, meeting with Vice Provost Greasy about the academic calendar change. Get your friends to fill out this form. We're getting there. The meeting's probably gonna be either at the end of this week or the week right after spring break. So make sure you get your feedback in about that and tell your friends too as well, so we can have a say in that. For the School Business Advisory Board selection, they keep changing their mind what they want to do, so we set up a meeting this week. Hopefully we can nail down exactly what it's going to be and then get those emails sent out at some point before spring break. That's hopeful. SFA, I met with the president and vice president, and they're running into some issues with who's going to take over. So they want to kind of sit down and talk about the future and what direction they want to go and what direction we think it should go. So, for starters, if anyone's interested here, I know the last person that took over was Ben, and he wasn't involved beforehand, so if anyone's interested in kind of getting involved there, let me know. If not, that's fine. I just need to sit down with them again after spring break and kind of figure out exactly what we're going to do with them. SES curriculum review, that's old. Oh wait, yeah, that's old. And then I had the two committee, AOA and USC, their faculty, Senate committees that I'm on. They didn't really talk about anything that pertained to us per se these weeks. This week we have more hiring seminars for the civil school, if any, or civil department. If anyone's interested in going to any of them, let me know. I can send you the dates. They're pretty fun. These professors come in and just talk about their research and why they should come teach at Stevens. So, and then the professors at Stevens ask us for our input on who we think we should hire. So if you're interested in going to that, let me know. I'll send you the dates. The SSE Advisory Board is finally having its first meeting. If you'll remember, the last one was canceled because of snow. So this one, we finally found the time when the dean was available, and it's going to be this Tuesday. The co-op course thing is, we used to have where you could take a free course while you were on co-op, and they got rid of it. I know a couple professors brought up the idea of having that course kind of kept one foot in the door, per se, at Stevens while you're on co-op. So just for students to have the option, we're talking about a couple different things we might try to do, so keep an eye out for that over probably after spring break. And spring break's next week, finally, thank God. That's it.
Thank you. Secretary.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome again to our two new senators. We're really excited to have you. I don't know what's happening right now, but we're really excited to have you, so welcome. For vacancy elections, our third round is on its way. It's the last one. I don't think there were any new names submitted, but reopened nominations won for the sophomore elections. So we will be resubmitting the name, I think it was for Dan, and then that'll go through. I'm updating the bylaws right now. I swear they'll be done soon. There's a lot of updates, but they'll be up there. I just posted in the governing documents the one from April, so that could be used for right now. And I'm working on DuckLink. I'm trying to post all the dockets to DuckLink so that the minutes, the agendas, proclamations, everything can be found up there. So that's a work in progress because it hasn't been done before, so I'm trying to do that. And then tie-dyeing, stay for after the meetings. We have like 50 socks, so please, I don't want to take all these socks home. Stay and tie-dye. Also, I'm going to send right now in the Slack, it's a copy of a PowerPoint. It's called like How to Senator, so that way everyone can get an idea of committees and also a transition doc. I send it to new senators, but I think I'm just going to send it to everybody right now, just so you have it, and it's like some info for all of you.
Great, thank you. SGA shout-outs, our favorite part of the evening. Shout out to Rami for being sweet enough to care for us and our loved ones, making sure we haven't been diagnosed with mesothelioma, or else we get financial compensation. For those of you unaware, mesothelioma is a rare cancer linked to asbestos exposure, typical of working in the Navy, living in shipyard SLH, construction, or how. If you may have been exposed, please don't wait. Call 1-800-LAW-USA for free legal consultation and financial information. That was a long-winded shout-out.
Wow.
All right. Shout out to Alina for being such a pullover. Funny. Shout out to Kevin
That was bad, whoever did that.
for being involved. Shout out to Ben.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you
Ben.
for the help. And shout out to our new senators. Welcome. And shout out to the 13 empty spaces under the secretary report.
What? You're welcome.
What does that mean?
All right, moving on.
All right, great.
Sounds like somebody's throwing shade there.
All right, back to the docket.
Time to count those out.
All right. We're on the docket. The only things on the agenda were the SITTV Constitution and the recommendations of the budget. And we'll go into discussion after that. EJ?
Motion to dissolve the ad hoc website committee
Right, it is moved and seconded to dissolve the ad hoc website committee. We are now in discussion on that motion. Jason?
Basically, you know I'm here, we don't need the website committee anymore, so since it's already made, all that needs to be done is updated content. So we pass that off to PR, and there no longer needs to be a website committee, there is no purpose for it, and there is no one on it. So I think we should all dissolve it.
Further discussion?
Second.
Is anyone opposed to moving to the previous question? All right, then we'll put it to a vote. All in favor of dissolving the ad hoc website committee, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Right, the motion passes, and the ad hoc website committee is officially dissolved. Back to the docket.
Move to approve the recommendations of the budget committee.
Second. All right, it has been moved and seconded to approve the recommendations of the budget committee. Are you speaking on this today?
I am. I'm very happy.
Great. Do you want to come over here? Or
Sure.
Great.
Alright, so we came into this week with $62,700 and some change dollars. We recommended about $4,100, $4,095.17, and we're going out with $58,627.12, and I'm not going to use all the cents anymore. We started out with an AFR for AICHE. This is what they usually ask for their GBMs. They're going to get some pizza. You should go. They're also having their elections, so it should be great. This is an AFR for ESC, the Ethnic Student Councils. They didn't account for the hourly rate of WCPR in their original AFR, so we approved it with a higher amended amount. This is for LAA. They have a large one big melting pot event with a bunch of different organizations, and since there are going to be more organizations present, they're expecting higher attendance and need more supplies. This becomes their second event over $2,000, so we can't get them any more events with that much money based on our guidelines. They also are getting some promotional items, which include a partridge in a pear tree. Elena added that, not me. We have Save. So this should be the last of the materials for their solar smoothie cart, after which they should be able to give solar smoothies at Earth Day and at nice days around campus, so look out for that. Get some nice solar smoothies. This was an AFR from SEF to get handouts for both of their upcoming events. So that would be their Veritas and also their Ask Christians Anything. It was the ones from Student Life are not enough under the usual line item. We approved $1,250 for SDS for the spring musical, so everybody better go because we give a lot of money for the spring musical. Ditto for props. We had a previous AFR for them for props, but we're not able to itemize everything, so this is everything else itemized. This is for us. So Maddie's working on our bylaws, and she needs a subscription to, what is it? Overleaf. To finish them, and it costs money, so we gotta give them money. Stephen's Hobby Robotics is working on an autonomous RC car, and there's a whole itemized list of components. It seems pretty interesting and fun time. SITTV has found a more affordable couch. It has a nice extended chaise section. It looked very nice. You can click on the link if you want to know more about it. And this is also for SITTV. It's not for the paint anymore. It's for soundproofing foam. Still important. They need that. This is for Urban Spoon, and it is a matcha-themed event in collaboration with Pierce. So you should come out to that. They're going to have little matcha whisks, so you can learn to make matcha lattes and stuff, and learn about how important matcha is to your health. We have the Stoop is going to North Jersey, a competition, so they needed some entrance fees. Also for the Stoop, they wanted a vacuum, but we did not give them the money because rather than giving them a vacuum, we recommended that they give keys to the cleaning crew so that they can come in themselves. We'll see how that goes. We might need to approve them for that. Yes, Matt Green. Hold for discussion. Okay, sounds good. So, do I now move to previous for a vote?
Is there any discussion?
Okay.
Any questions for Elena?
Matt Green.
I just want to comment on the student and getting keys to housekeeping.
Yes.
Housekeeping's supposed to have keys everywhere.
Okay.
I'm currently asking as to whether or not housekeeping's supposed to vacuum the floor, and the answer is no, and get a vacuum.
Yes, so I was the one that made the recommendation that we not approve this vacuum, but if we find out that they will not vacuum the floors, then I will advocate for giving giving them a vacuum.
Alia?
That's a question for SITTV. I certainly could.
Could you,
What?
would it be possible to look into a cheaper vacuum?
Oh, it's Stu, I'm sorry. Wrong group.
Oh.
Sorry, Stu.
Yeah, that was the vacuum I was requested to buy. They wanted a $300 vacuum, but I told them no, find something cheaper. So good luck to see if we can find something that's less.
Any other questions, discussion, amendments?
If you don't agree with our decisions, you can try to overturn one.
All right, great. Then are we ready for the question? Questions on the approval of the recommendations of the Budget Committee? Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we waiting for? I didn't quite hear your request.
He asked me to send a link to the vacuum.
Okay, great. Are we ready for the question? Is that a yes? Great. All in favor of approving the recommendations of the Budget Committee say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Great. The ayes have it. The motion passes, and the recommendations of the Budget Committee are approved without amendments. All right. Order. Thank you. Great. We're back to the docket, which I guess is discussion unless someone else has a motion to make. Mark?
No, I was just curious because you mentioned that you would elaborate more on like the midnight stuff. So what happens at that meeting?
Jason?
So what happened was students expressed concerns towards midnight, specifically rounds, and Leo had a couple reasons why rounds didn't happen this semester, and obviously most of the Greek leaders fought that, and Malcolm decided to open an investigation on every single fraternity besides TX and Kappa Sig. And now a detailed report is being formulated for every fraternity and sorority to see what happened during midnight. And we're also having discussions of what midnight is going to look moving forward. The biggest, I guess, solution right now would be like a founder type ball kind of for Greek life. We don't know how that would exactly work yet. We don't know if that would be on campus. We don't even know if it'd be free, but that's more of the situation there. Is there any more questions?
DJ?
Sorry, could you elaborate more on what the problem specifically is? The problem?
So for rounds, the specific problem was that people were now doing rounds and they weren't allowed to, and there was, I think it was a group of, or two groups of like senior girls that pretty much did rounds, and they didn't have any sober monitors with them, and they were being loud, and there was complaints.
What are rounds exactly?
Rounds are when all the sororities go to all the fraternity houses and they mingle, meet each other, new recruits meet each other, and then they go to the next house.
Mark?
How come everybody but Caps and TX are under investigation went on those two?
So, Kappa Sig and TX, I believe, already had registered events planned that they had registered with the school, and the school is aware of like what happened there, so they're not pursuing an investigation with them because they don't think they were part of the issue.
Any other discussion on this topic?
Just filling you guys in.
Thank you. Any discussion on any topic? Andrew?
Do you know what organization the senior girls in question were from?
No. That would make it a lot easier.
New discussion?
I forgot to mention this, but the whole Columbus Day
favor of, having election day off.
Brian?
So I'm not working on this, but I know part of the issue currently, at least with the academic calendar, is that they get set like multiple years in advance, and it would be difficult to just rearrange the whole calendar. So I think that they're saying currently the best solution that they have is to pull that day from Columbus Day and then just shift it.
That's not finalized.
That's not finalized.
So I'm like currently working on the initiative, and like, yeah, actually Matt put the email in the Slack channel, but basically like what Ryan said, like it would honestly just have to be switching the day for now, but long term if we wanna just have the day off in general, but it would have to be after 2022.
Any other discussion on this topic? Any discussion on any topic? Jake?
Question about the process. So I glanced at the email that Matt dropped in the Slack. Is the resistance, so the resistance appears to be that they haven't done it before, that peer institutions aren't doing it, and like what would you gauge is like the likelihood of this being a thing, like in the long term?
Matthew?
Before we like know anything definitive, we wanted to draft a proposal as requested by Cindy. If you don't know who Cindy Chen is, she's the associate provost. So she's essentially in charge of all the administrative back end of the office of the provost. So she wants like this is like a SAF initiative, semester initiative for government community relations. So she asked us for several pieces of information that we can present to her, so that way she knows. Like that way we can have a more educated discussion going forward. So they're open to consideration. We just need more information before we can have like a good discussion.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this topic? Any discussion on any topic? Mark?
So this is an idea that I thought about. I was wondering what people thought of it. So currently, co-op students, can participate in SAF stuff their fifth year. If you're in a 4+1 program or an AMP student, even though you're here for 5 years, your fifth year, you're considered a graduate student, and you basically can't participate in undergrad activities. What are people's thoughts on potentially giving the option to like those fifth-year grad students to participate in undergrad activities if they choose to take the SAF?
Did everyone hear that? It's on whether fifth-year students should be allowed to participate in undergraduate activities if they pay the SAF, which is the student activity fee. Jake?
I mean, we're currently running into the issue, like if they're enrolled as undergraduates in this accelerated master's, like I'm not entirely sure how the program works. Like, do they graduate with both their bachelor's and a master's, or do they graduate twice?
Mark?
They graduate twice, so this would be for their 9th and 10th semester. If they choose to pay it, they can do it because they tend to have like sort of an attachment to the undergraduate community already. So let's continue that for another year.
All right, great. I'd just like to remind people to, like, a direct response is fine, I'll let you respond, but just wait till the person's done talking to raise your hand. Thank you. Jake?
So, like, I'm still on board with the idea, but it seems like it gets a lot more difficult if that is the case. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked into logistics, just as a general thought, what do you think of the potential of the idea?
Okay.
So I believe this was actually already looked into, I don't know if it was last spring or last fall, but I believe part of the reason this came up was because Greg Klasaris was a senior, fifth year at the time, and technically I think the issue is that he wouldn't be able to serve with EC anymore. So this was something that was discussed. I don't know if we did pass this exactly, but if I remember correctly, this is already allowed. We said that people would be able to serve on e-boards and be involved with events and everything if they pay the SAF. So I have to go back and check the legislation that was passed from then, but I'm almost certain that we did pass this already.
Mark?
I've looked at stuff, I haven't seen anything defining that. as far as what I heard, at least from the Greg situation, is that he was either like never EC president on paper, or like they just said he wasn't, so to speak, and people just turned a blind eye. As far as I know, that was the situation, but then again, I'm not entirely sure. I just haven't seen anything precedent allowing it.
Liam?
And personally, I'd be fine with having fifth-year students be counted as undergrads as long as they are counted as undergrads, like administratively. Like I know it gets weird because they would be counted as both undergrad and grad, and they're in that transition period. But to me, as long as they are still counted as undergrad, then it's fine.
Any other discussion on this topic? Matt?
The issue I see is, as I recall, and we have a parliamentary for a reason, the Constitution defines members of the SGA as undergraduate students. And so if you're not an undergraduate student, you can't be a member of the SGA, which might be a factor to consider in this entire ADSAF or fine, but the SGA side might not.
Alia? Mark?
That's like a separate fee, so they put a graduate student activity fee, which is used for graduate events that are
Correct.
less monetary.
What does that entitle them to?
It basically provides funding for like graduate, like events run by graduate students on campus, because they have some clubs over here too.
Any discussion on this topic? DJ?
I'm a little confused. So is it just like any co-op student who's here for 5 years is considered a grad student? Or?
Elena?
So essentially, like, this co-op students, 5 years, they're all undergraduates, like, but fifth years who are here for their fifth year as their masters, like, they're graduate students, so they're no longer able to go to on-campus events, they can't serve on club e-boards, they can't eat any of the food at on-campus events, things like that, because all of those things are subsidized by the student activities fee, which they're no longer paying as grad students. But if they were to pay, if we figured out a way to like technically instill this so they pay the SAF, however much it is per semester, then they would be eligible to go to these events, still be involved in clubs as a fifth year grad student here.
Great, thank you. EJ?
Wouldn't they just be a grad student doing their master's then? Like, what's co-op got to do with it?
Mark?
It basically says like students already can participate for 5 years using the SAF. Why not allow another group of students to do so if they opt into it?
Any further discussion? Vic?
Would that just, you know how when you like check into the events with the Dublin thing, would that just be like if you did pay the SF, like it would be like activated or something?
Mark?
Something like that. I haven't obviously looked into the logistics, it's just the general idea of what people thought.
Thank you. Matt?
So the check-in is linked to Dublin, which is an undergraduate system. So if you are not an undergraduate, theoretically, and they've been getting strict about this, they're kicking you out of Dublin. And so if you're not in Dublin, you can't check in.
Good point. Yes.
I just want to clarify on that point. It does say the SGA shall promote the welfare of the enrolled undergraduate students of the STEAM Institute that here referred to as the student body. So it's pretty clear in the Constitution that the student body is an enrolled undergraduate.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion on this topic? Any discussion on any topic? Liam?
I'd like to know a little bit more about an initiative that Jason brought up before, the student money initiative. You brought that up in your slide. I'd just like to know a little bit more about what that is and what it's pertaining to.
Jason?
So this was an email that I got. This is an email about I got with. It's pretty much, it breaks down where all the money goes in like the school. So it's literally just like 30 pages of documents of just straight money, and it goes to certain things, you know, grants, contributions to grants, like stuff like that, expenses, like literally you can just scroll down, there's like, it's a straight money list. And it would be nice to break this up, get the percentages, and then make it into like a nice chart that we could possibly put on like a pamphlet for like accepted students, like, hey, like this is where all your money goes if you accept to come here, or even students that are here, because I know people like to know where their money goes.
EJ?
Is that document currently public knowledge?
It is. I can share it with all of you if you like.
That'd be great. Any other discussion on this topic? Any new discussion? Alina?
I was just wondering if there was, like, Jason, any specifics on house renovations, or if not, like, if you could find more about, like, what they want us, like, what they're suggesting that we could potentially pay for with house renovations, / why the student activity fee should be subsidizing the building that, like, they promised to put up for students.
Great. Jason?
Also just looking into that. This was strictly like something that he emailed me late on Friday. I didn't get a chance to respond to him, and he didn't obviously respond to me. And I'm just gonna meet with him on Monday and talk to him more about it. So just trying to keep you guys in the loop.
Any further discussion on the pond house topic? Any new discussion? EJ?
So I mentioned this on Wednesday, but I don't think people were like actually paying attention. So,
alright, pay attention, people.
Does anyone have any like thoughts or feels on committees having like duckling pages, if it's like sub to the SGA, sub committee pages, or like actual just pages itself? And then committees having like events or workshops to promote more people outside of the SGA to join their committees?
Good.
I think that'd be really cool, because I know a lot of people I've talked to are interested in like getting involved in some way, but don't want to necessarily have like the responsibilities of being a senator. So like having somewhere to go to say, oh, I can do this, this, and this would be like a really good idea.
Maddie?
So we brought this up to Leo and Danielle on Friday, so only a couple days ago. And they're all for it, so I was actually gonna meet with Danielle to start getting the committee pages activated and done, so it's kind of gonna happen already. So, yeah.
Great. Ben?
Does anybody even look at duckling? Except for people that have to?
Anyone have an answer to that? It's kind of a hypothetical, but EJ?
I would say like not really, but if people are looking for events and they see like, hey, CLC's hosting study on the lawn, maybe like they might be interested in going.
Do you have something? Are you responding, Ben?
Yeah, can they just, like, how's it different if you put it on the SGA ducklings right now? It's still submitted?
Yes, EJ?
I feel like it's a little bit different because if people see like, hey, it's just the SGA hosting an event, they'll be like kind of discouraged in a way because they're like, I don't want to deal with all this like nonsense. I just want to like help with whatever specific committee.
Jimmy?
I definitely see where you're getting at, especially at events that you're trying to encourage like a general member of the student body to come to, not just someone that wants to get involved in legislation. Like last year, the study on the lawn thing, I think people saw it was by the SGA. We're like, I don't want to do the SGA. It's a lot. But if they just see campus life, then that seems a little bit more approachable.
Alina?
You could title like the event itself on like Campus Life Committee and whatever like that. I think that we should, like, I've been pushing for committees to put their events and meetings on Ducklink like this whole semester, and like no one's been doing that. But like my issue with creating separate Ducklink pages is it creates a disjoint image of the SGA, so someone can go to a CLC event and not realize it's like part of the SGA because we're all under like this big umbrella, and I don't want to create a disjoint image of an organization.
Matthew?
I agree with, sorry, I'm a little sick. I agree with Melina. On, like, diversity and inclusion has posted a meeting, well, I think it's an upcoming one. And there's a picture of, like, the diversity and inclusion committee thing. It's like that same background. And student government association's at the bottom, and it's kind of just tucked away. So, like, if you're interested in diversity and inclusion, like, it'd be more obvious that that's what this event's about, not about student government stuff. So, I guess if committee chairs would do it now, I think maybe we can. Maybe for student government.
Any further discussion on this topic? Matt?
Campus life field permit is open, right?
Yes.
Just wanted to confirm.
EJ?
Yes, but no one's used it. I don't even have access to it. I've tried.
Alright. Any further discussion on this topic? Maddie?
I think it's a good idea for them to each have a page because it's a spot where you can go for that committee. You can find everything on it, whereas if it's all in the SGA one, it can get kind of lost. And it's a good way, because right now we don't have a website, and I don't know what we're looking moving forward, if we're gonna have one or not. So this could be a good way of having those tab sections of different committees. I don't think that it would be like, oh my gosh, they're not part of the SGA now because they have a separate page. Pages could still have a uniform look. You could still make them have the SGA logo, but I think that it's a good test run for each one to have their own page.
Any further? Liam?
I mean, another idea that we could implement to really get the word out about these committees and what they do and what initiatives could be part of them is at the club fair each semester or at like block party, things like that, the different committees can set up different stands. Instead of just having one SGA stand, have like a CLC stand or a DNI stand.
It's a cool idea. EJ?
I kind of like that honestly, but I feel like that might be a bit much. Like if you come in to Stevens as a freshman and you're like, I want to join all these clubs, and then you see one that's like dedicated to improving campus, like as soon as you get here, that might be a little like disheartening. I don't know.
Andrew?
You might also run into problems because of how many extra tables you would take up if you had a table for every single committee. And you're also asking upwards of what, like 20 people to go man tables at that point?
Alia?
Yeah, sure. I'm not entirely sure how applicable that would be, but if like a number of senators were like tasked with advertising certain committees to their districts, I feel like that would facilitate just publicizing like this is what the SGA is doing, this is what we're doing like in terms of like activities and stuff. Just because like if you're talking to a person, it's different than checking that thing or seeing a post about it. So like if we're used as vehicles to like just disperse the information rather than sending the email every week, I feel like the communication between senators and the student body would be enhanced.
Alina?
Yeah, as chair of public relations committee, like this is something I've like really been pushing and trying to do. We have our social media, we have our draft link, we send out our newsletter, and then we have like in-person events where people get to interact, like, and I guess it humanizes the SGA to people if they come to an event and like grab food, whatever, talk to them and we like talk to them about our committees, our initiatives and so on. I don't know if you can like explicitly like force people in this room to like go out to and find the people that are randomly assigned to us in our districts and be like, have you heard of the campus life committee? Like, but like as a senator, like it would be cool if you're already like I talk to my friends about SGA all the time. They told me to shut up about it. So like I don't know, like you could be doing that on your own. I just don't think it would be fair to explicitly force people to go like track down people in their district and talk to SGA about them. But those people are more than welcome to come to the events that we plan every semester.
Alia?
Well, like teaching I had in mind was more like when we first came to students, we had a peer leader, and I feel like that really helped the group of students range from like 20 to 30 to like connect with that one person and like reach out to them and take questions. So like I don't know what shape this could take, but like maybe like if we can get something where like each senator had a group every chat with their district and like people could leave essentially if they wanted to, but they could stay if they wanted like a more direct line of communications with that side.
Alina?
They could join our Slack channel. It's open to everyone. I think it might get hectic trying to get like 40 different groupies started, especially since like I think seniors have what like 200 people, 300 people in their districts at this point, and then the smallest number of people that are in districts would probably be around 100 something at this point. But they're like more than welcome to join our Slack channel. Like that's something like I put at the bottom of all of our emails. Like want to learn more? Like check out our Slack because we have like a different channel for every single committee. Then we have general, random, things like that, and we post a lot in there, and that's like open to everyone.
Great. Liam?
I want to say, I have 4 in my district.
With your record. All right. Any further discussion on this topic? Alina.
I just want to say, I'm not trying to like shut down any of your ideas. Like I'm very like any ideas you have, like literally come to me because I'm like trying to reinvent the wheel all the time to get the student body more involved. So like I'm very open to hearing new things. So thank you so much for speaking out. Like I love when someone cares about PR. It's great. Thank you.
Alia?
Yeah, I'll like find you on Slack.
Great. Any further discussion on this topic? New discussion. Mark?
Maddie, I know you mentioned before something about like maybe not having a website. I'm just curious what's up with that.
Maddie?
We talked about it, all of us. Alina was there as well. We would love a website, but essentially the school does not want an external link that they cannot control. So that when people are looking up the school, that link, that's like they don't see it and then think it's something that Stevens owns. So we're trying to use DuckLink as much as we can right now. Danielle and Leo are going to be looking into it. I know that there's already organizations that have these links. We talked about Gear and Triangle, we talked about the Stu, and like there's just the nature of these organizations, they needed these, but right now we can't have this externally.
Alina?
He didn't say we can't have it. He said he'll look more into it because there is no written policy and they can't take it off the internet. It's on the internet.
So the problem, was it with having a website or was it having a link to the website on stevens.edu?
The problem is having a link that is not a Stevens.edu. Because they want it to be an SGA.stevens.edu. They want to have a static page that you can go to and it has information, but essentially it stays the same. It's not something that you go and you have senators change every time. You have bios, you have their initiatives, nothing like that. It would be more of an information page, but an SGA information page. And the DuckLink is where we would put our photos. And Leo wasn't in support of it because of the idea that behind IT not being in support of it, but he does like having a website. So if they find a way where we can do a link, then we can have one.
Andrew?
But if I remember correctly, we've been told in the past that we can't have a separate Stevens.edu link that isn't just the document page.
Yeah. It's
Just pointing that out.
Maddie, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, we're gonna see them again. They're looking more into it, and we'll keep you guys updated on it.
Do you have something to say, Mark?
Yeah, I just wanted to add as like just a general thing. I don't think there's anything saying that we just can't do it and just not have the link to it on stevens.edu. And just we can distribute that in our emails to the student audio. I think there's anything against that.
This isn't a response to anything, it's just a question, I guess. If the SGA is supposed to represent and stand for and like argue for the rights of the students and work with student life, then why do you have to verify with the student life office whether you can create a website with your own views?
Anyone want to crack that egg? Alright, Jason?
We currently have my website. They cannot do anything about it. They cannot take it down. It's good to work with student life and have them on board with everything we're doing so we can work with them in the future. Because as student government, we don't have much power to change things. We rely on administrators to agree with us and work with us.
I can see that you don't have power to directly change things, but like it's good to have them on your side. But if you have views, you can't just expect like student life to agree with every single one of them. If you think that there's something that's important for students to see and you want their voice to be heard, then that should not be silenced by people who don't want to do work or don't see the views of students.
Jason?
The main concern that they have towards the website is the maintenance.
Is it what?
The maintenance. And that's why they are strongly encouraging not to get into it. And they're almost recommending do like a dry trial run with the DuckLink page, the static page, stuff like that. Or, and then if we prove ourselves, I guess, of maintaining a web page and making it look nice and connecting it through Stevens, then we're allowed to have it. I don't know if that's something you guys want to do, or we could just straight go for it. but I don't know.
Maddie?
But there's also the problem with the link. So they don't trust that it'll be maintained, but I think our PR, Lena, said that could be written to the bylaws. But the link, we showed them the existing one already, and that's actually not really okay to have that up there. So they weren't in support of us using that right now. They want to talk to IT. It's not just for SGA, it's for any organization. You cannot just make a website now with Stevens on it. So we don't want to go against that right now. We want to get more information on it before, and then we can go back and be like, this is something we want. But I'm just telling you for right now, that's where we're at in this conversation with them. It's not that we don't want one. I think having a website would be a great idea, but our first steps in that is the committee pages on Duckling. Once we can prove that that's been maintained, I think that we can get them to support us in creating a link and a website. I know with CLC, they looked at it and they were like, this hasn't been updated in however long. And so we couldn't really say anything on that. So if we have all these links on Duckling, or have all these pages on Duckling that are updated, we would have something to show and then get their support.
Joan?
Can you go into more detail about what they said about your triangle having certain updates?
Yeah.
Maddie?
So, Alina had actually brought it up when we looked at it, and they were kind of concerned that it wasn't through Stevens, right, Alina? They
didn't know it existed.
They weren't aware of it. Leo was concerned that it was up there and it had the Stevens name. But we had said, this is a great website, we want something like this. He was like, it looks great, but it's essentially not allowed.
Alina?
I just want to reiterate, there's no official written policy. Like legally, we're cool. Like we're not doing anything wrong. Like when I asked him, I went into this meeting and I asked him, I'm like, is there a written policy? He's like, not that I'm aware of, but vocally this has been told to me. And in my head, I'm like, okay, cool. Vocally, a lot of things are told to me. Like, so unless they provide me with a specific written policy that like legally I can't have this up there. Like I don't have the Stevens like logo on there or anything, and even so, like they have like that up there on the official website that you can download and use and stuff. Like we're not making money off of the website, so it's like all good in that sense. And then shoot, I lost my train of thought. But even like there's no current. My main point is no current written policy saying we can't do this, and I'm just like thinking like into the future if they like come back to us with more details, because at the end of the 30-minute discussion we had on this, right? They're just like, actually, we're not even like the people who are like in charge of this, so we don't have the full information. So let me get back to you with more information. I'm like, okay, please do that, thank you. So we'll wait for that, but like if they come back with more information, they're like, okay, this is a solid no, we can write a proclamation, be like, we want this. It's what happened to student centricity, like where's that at? Like, okay, thanks.
Mark?
Can you do me a favor? Can you open up your web browser and go to stevens.edu/stu? Hey, look, it links to an external website.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Jake?
So it seems to me, and this is just cynical me, that they say, work on maintaining your committee duck links first. Post your links there, post your information there, post your events there, prove to us that you can maintain that. And then when you come back in a year, say, yeah, we did this, we maintained this, we got these events. We can look at you and say, well, what's wrong with the system you have? They're trying to
Anyone like
get
to respond to that? Alex?
Not really respond.
Or
Also.
Maddie?
Okay, so as Alina had said, they don't know for sure. We were told no by them, but that, again, we're not going to stop fighting for a website because we don't think it's a good idea. The problem is right now we're at a standstill with them saying that we cannot have the link. And they're going to go to IT and talk and see what they can do. I'm meeting with Danielle sometime this week to make pages for all the committees. But if the committees don't want them, if they don't think they'll be useful, I can just tell her no. So committee heads, reach out to me if you think you want a page. And then we'll push them for more information from IT. But right now, there's nothing that we can do at this moment. So I don't know if we want to continue our discussion on it or pull up more links, but.
Jake?
Can I get a website page instead?
One thing I'd like to say is two things actually. One, the cabinet, we're not like against this, we're for it, but we're just telling you what they're telling us. It's not, we're not saying we don't need this, we think we do as well. The other thing is, as Jason mentioned, Leo and Danielle both want to come to a meeting. When they come to that meeting, let them know that you guys really want this website. Maybe coming from the entire Senate will mean more when it comes from just us, but they are looking into it more. Show them that you want it. I mean, that's all I have.
Jason, could we get like advance warning when Leo is going to come?
Oh yeah, I was asking you guys when, like, would you guys want him to come? That was more of that.
We want a full house. We want y'all to be there.
Guys, we can do it next week, 2 weeks.
Ryan?
Just a reminder, we don't have a meeting next Sunday because of spring break.
I mean,
So-
3 weeks.
Spring break.
Ed?
What exactly is student life version of, why they created our website, is that it'll follow, if they just online or that device become virtual away?
So, they're kind of, what they said was, it's not just like us looking at it, but if someone searches Stevens that's a prospective student, they'll see it. So it's kind of representing Stevens in a way for people on the outside. And their basic concern was not stuff like bad things, but if it, whether it be, we don't update it, stuff like that. They don't want it to be something they can't control when possible prospective students are looking. Like when they Google Stevens, it's something that would come up.
Ryan?
I also just want to point out they can't control what's written in the Stoop, and arguably that could be much more negative press for, you know, certain things happening on campus. So it's not a no, it's just they'd like to have control of it, and like we'd like to do it in the best way possible, right? Because we could easily just go get a domain, dump something on there, and be like, yep, here's our website, and that's it, and just do it. And because it's legally okay, they can't stop us, but we'd also like to maintain a good relationship with Student Life and do it in the right way.
Andrew?
For the record, if you Google Stevens Institute of Technology, the Stoop does not come up for the first 3, 4, or even 5 pages. So their concern of if somebody Googles Stevens and this would come up doesn't seem very founded. Secondarily, if you type in stevens.edu/SGA, it actually goes to the undergraduate student life page, which is just something we should probably fix.
That's a good point. Matt?
Along the same thread of Stevens.edu/SGA and all those other issues, there have been times where I've walked up to the student line and gone, hey, this webpage you told us all to submit blurbs for, this is the organizations page, there were errors all over the page. And I brought it up multiple times. And I finally sat there with an administrator who had the authority to do it simply because there was no other way for them to fix it. And they're telling us they're concerned about our problems, but they don't even fix their own when I bring them in. So I understand good relationships, all that jazz, but like, yeah.
I also hear that you guys are still thinking about maintaining good relationships and you want to do this in the best way possible, but I think I've heard through you guys pass on that phrase that they will have control over it, and I just don't think that's going to be like a valid argument here.
Any further discussion on this topic? Matt?
It's come somewhat to Leo and Danielle coming to a Senate meeting. The CSI have been trying to have them come over here, and so there's not a guarantee that they'll actually attend the meeting. So just
We're aware.
They said they won't.
Any further discussion? At all? Jason?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second. It has been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. It is non-debatable. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. All opposed, say no.
No.
All right, the motion fails. We are not adjourned. Discussion. Maddie?
Okay, so someone reached out to me. This could probably be an initiative for someone. They said getting a parking pass as for a visitor is really hard if you don't live on campus, even if you live in Stevens Lee's housing. So I don't really know much about the parking pass because I've never needed one. So does anyone know more about that, or if they want to take that on possibly?
Liam?
As it relates to the initiative, I looked into way back when, return parking, and well, it's difficult to get a parking pass for Stevens, and it is very expensive for a reason. They specifically make it like that because they want to encourage people to use public transportation. And, well, in Hoboken, it's already crowded enough as is, and they don't want, the city of Hoboken doesn't want more cars coming in and making it even more crowded. So that's kind of the reason behind it.
Alex?
Correct me if I'm wrong, are you talking about like just one night parking passes? Yeah, not for semester, just a one night parking
Yeah,
pass
just like
for
if you have a visitor come.
Vic?
Yeah, so you can get one if you live on campus, like in the dorm, then you have to go with the person whose parking pass you get it, like they have to physically be here, which makes no sense because where are they parking when they do this? And then they have to go in, give them the like license number, whatever, then you can get it for like one night, but they're usually like the biggest pains in the butt, so the person has to physically be there at the time when you get the parking pass, in Howe lobby, like, with all their information.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Phil?
I don't know like who you've been talking to, but like I've gotten like 2 or 3 parking passes, like 2 last year, and I was like living in Hayden, so like it wasn't a problem. But like the guy was just like, you gotta put the plates down, and like they gave it to me. And like just this weekend, like I tried getting one, and I live in SLH, and like the girl was like, you shouldn't be getting one. She gave me one anyway, but yes, it's a pain.
Jay?
I had a friend come up and stay for like 3 days, and it wasn't like we just walked up and said, "Hey, we need a parking pass for like 3 days. Can you do that?" And the officer looked at me and was like, "Yeah."
Right. So what I'm hearing is that it's very inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's
what
what
is
it
required
is.
from parking passes. I myself spend a lot of time sitting in Howe lobby, and I've experienced like someone coming up asking for a parking pass and being given one right away without the person being there, and then the next person coming like a few minutes later, and the person behind the counter like requiring them that they do all these things. It's up to the person sitting behind the counter. If anyone has any more anecdotes, I think we understand the message there. Any further discussion? EJ.
This was
I'm sorry, I
brought
have
up
to
in Slack
prefer
the other day. But does anyone know of any updates on the shuttle?
Alright, sorry, before we get to that, Matt, did you have something to say?
I have something on the parking
Alright,
passes.
Matt?
Go to Stevens /police, parking regulations is on the right. Number 3 talks about visitor name tags. Additionally, every day varies. There are some days where there are big events and they can't give parking passes. And you are right, it varies based on who's working the desk and whether or not they like you and all those different things.
Great, thank you. Alright, EJ, would you like to restate your question?
Does anyone know what happened to the initiative to improve shuttles from last semester? Is that still going on?
Karen?
So I did not really follow it after because there was not a lot that you could do directly, just because Stevens doesn't have their own shuttle line, it's Academy. So a lot of the problems that come through that is because of the workers, because the buses don't work, the shuttles don't work. It's a lot of inconsistency that comes from Academy that's very hard to fix on like that area. So it's just like up to them. And then the app, the Translog app that is used for that, that's a separate thing that directly connects with Academy, not even like directly with students. So there's a lot going on. I know that they will be solved in 2020, Matthew.
Once the towers are up.
Yep.
Jason?
They don't like the shuttles, and they're like trying to like actively get rid of them. So like they just said, like as soon as the towers go up, the shuttles are pretty much gonna be gone. And also we're in a contract with Academy for them, so we can't do anything about that.
Alina?
I have a question about that. Is that just for residential shuttles, or do they want to get rid of the blue line also? Because I know a lot of employees and students who can use the blue line to get down to it and have trainings.
Mark?
Residential shuttles.
Sorry?
It's just residential shuttles.
Ryan?
I'm just curious, anyone that's been working on the housing stuff, is Stevens planning on getting rid of all leased housing once the towers go in?
Before we get to that, are we done with the shuttle discussion? Right. Great. Jason? Would you like to
It's
respond?
highly unlikely that they're going to ever get rid of all leased housing, but their goal is to move most of it back again.
Matthew, did you have something to say?
I'm pulling up an email with the bottom up here.
Further discussion on housing. this topic. Matthew, do you want us to wait for you?
I can tell you, like, paraphrase what he said. So I asked, so at a city council meeting in July, Keenan Hughes, a legal representative for Stevens, said that they plan on getting rid of all Stevens's housing, and so I asked about Mafia, is this true? And he said, quote, yes, this is the ultimate goal. At the time of the opening of the new residential buildings, and based on the current percentages of students who opt into the Stevens housing program, we expect to not need Stevens leased housing in Hoboken. So that was a little bit ago. That was September 2018. Obviously, things can change, but that was the goal back then.
Jason?
Yeah, just following up on that, they are planning to move all of the leased housing currently back in Hoboken. So they have started talking about moving people out of Weehawken starting next year. There is enough stuff in Hoboken, but I've talked to many people in that department. You know, I have to, but they're right now they don't think that they're going to completely withdraw from Stevens leased housing, but they think they're going to dramatically reduce it once the building's open.
All right, any more discussion on this? Any new discussion? EJ?
Kind of off topic. Whatever happened to tie-dye?
We have all of it.
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
I was wondering. It's unattended luggage. Make me nervous. Alright. Any new discussion? Kara? It is moved and seconded to close the meeting. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Great. The motion is moved. Meeting adjourned.